Do you do anything special like singing or dancing or playing a musical instrument? Well, it can be a lot of fun, and it's another way to express yourself. But it takes a lot of work, and you have to want to do it. What if somebody were pushing you to learn to play a musical instrument and you didn't want to do it? Well, that's Rosy's problem in today's book, Give Us a Great Big Smile, Rosy Cole, by Sheila Greenwald. Now, Rosy took violin lessons, and she was terrible, and she knew it. She wanted to quit taking violin lessons, but her parents wouldn't let her. The main reason was that her Uncle Ralph was planning to do a book about Rosy. He'd already done a book about her sister Anitra because Anitra could dance. And he'd also done a book about her sister Pippa because Pippa could ride horseback. So now it was Rosy's turn. A book full of photographs about Rosy playing her violin. He wanted to follow her to school and get pictures of her with her best friends at work and at play. And he also wanted to go to her music lessons. Now, her violin teacher was Miss T.R. Radzanoff, Teddy. And she was in a string trio with two friends, Debbie and Hermione, with Linda on piano, and they were all horrible. But Uncle Ralph insisted on going to their music lesson and snapping lots of pictures.
Linda and Debbie walked in and made faces as if to say, "What's up?" T.R. was her usual clipped, unruffled, and, I have to say, nasty self. But I could tell she was kind of excited. She said, "Girls, I want to introduce you to Mr. Ralph LeBeau, Rosy's uncle. He will be taking pictures of you while you play today. He would like you to pretend that he's not here at all. He wants you to be as natural and normal as usual." Right away, they looked like this. We sat down before our music stands and took out our music. Ms. Radzanoff told us what page to turn to and what measure to begin on. We tuned up. T.R. counted 1, 2, 3, and we started to play. Two interesting things happened. First thing, Linda, Hermione, and Debbie were playing horribly. Second thing, Ms. Radzanoff was trying to cover up for me, trying to help me look good. Usually she glares or stamps and calls me idiot. But this time she let my mistakes go by, smiling radiantly at me every time I came anywhere near the right note. She kept stopping to talk to us about the music. "Mozart is so witty here," she said, laughing like a loon. "Listen, you can hear the wit, the fun, the jest." She sounded like the hostess of a public television children's music special instead of glaring, hissing Teddy Radzanoff. Uncle Ralph was click, click, clicking away as if film cost a penny a roll. Hermione was sweating like a fighter. Linda banged the piano as if it had done something horrible to her. Debbie looked as if she was about to cry. We kept playing, worse and worse. I couldn't imagine how anyone who liked music could stand to listen. Ms. Radzanoff must be a secret music hater. Finally, it was time to pack up and hear Ms. Radzanoff's last words of the day. "Practice the Allegro, girls, with special attention to the last 5 measures. Remember the humor. We will take the 4th movement next week." Uncle Ralph said, "Thanks a lot, kids. You're wonderful, beautiful people, and likewise, Miss Radzinoff." "Call me Teddy," she said. "Call me Ralph," he said. "Call me Wonderful," Linda said. "I'll be back on Thursday, Teddy," said Ralph. I tried to get out of the door fast, but he saw me. "Hey, wait up, Rosy. We have to talk." We went out of the building together. Usually, as I leave the building, the dumbness coat is removed from me, and I feel smarter and smarter till I reach the sidewalk where I'm myself again. But leaving with Uncle Ralph, I felt rotten all the way to the street. "Rosy, I like what I saw just now," Ralph said. "The faces, the fiddles, even the sweat on the brows, it all looked good. Of course, I have to develop the prints to see what I get, but I feel in my bones that we've got a winner. I think you're going to be my dark horse." He stopped in the middle of the sidewalk and put one hand on top of my head and the other under my chin, so I had to look into his happy, smiling face. "I never thought I'd get a book out of you, Cookie. To be perfectly frank, I thought you'd turn out to be a dud. But you, Rosy Dotes, are going to come in first place, a winner, just when I was about to go B-U-S-T. I'm making bets on you. My next book, our next book, will be called..." He closed his eyes to think up a title. He looked so happy and excited, the way he looks when a horse he bets on is about to come in first. "It'll be called A Very Little Filly," he said. Then he opened his eyes and saw me. I mean, Fiddler. And so, my fate was sealed. Right away, a whole bunch of things in my life changed. 3 girls in my class came up to me separately to tell me they were my best friend. Teddy Radzinoff called to speak to my mother several times a day. Uncle Ralph decided to photograph me practicing in my bedroom. Mom redecorated and carpeted my bedroom. Uncle Ralph decided to photograph me practicing in the living room. Mom redecorated and carpeted the living room. I started to keep this private diary. I started to practice. Uncle Ralph would say, "Okay, sweetheart, I'll just take pictures the way I always do, and you practice the way you always do." What I always did was never practice. As a result of my practicing at home, the telephone began to ring. I heard Mom say, "No, we do not have a cat in heat or an electric saw. It must be someone else's apartment." "Who is that?" I said. Mom didn't hear me because she put the plugs back in her ears and turned on the vacuum cleaner. After the 3rd phone call, Mom took the telephone off the hook. "That Mrs. Raposo next door is going nuts," Mom said. I really felt sorry for Mrs. Raposo. I wished I could stop playing as much as she wanted me to. But Uncle Ralph said, "Move over to the window and take that last part again. The one where your arm goes back and forth very fast." He didn't hear a single thing. He only saw it. "Give us a great big smile, Rosy Cole," he said. "Beautiful."
It seemed that everything had gotten completely out of hand with Uncle Ralph running around snapping pictures everywhere. But he was determined to produce that book, because you see, Uncle Ralph made money on those books, and money was something he needed right then because he lost a lot at the racetrack betting on the horses. Oh, he knew Rosy couldn't play the violin, but he didn't care. The people looking at the pictures wouldn't be able to hear Rosy. And that wasn't Rosy's only problem either. Suddenly she was surrounded by best friends because everybody wanted to be in the book. Even her teacher was acting differently. Oh, and if you hadn't noticed, her music teacher, T.R. Radzinoff, was suddenly much nicer. That might have been because of Uncle Ralph.
When I went into the soda fountain, Uncle Ralph was sitting on the last stool, drinking black coffee and going over the racing sheet. He saw me right away. "Hi, Rosy Dotes," he called. The woman behind the counter glared at him. I could see he'd already filled an ashtray and spilled sugar. Uncle Ralph is always pretty nervous. "I've been waiting for you," he said. "I've wanted to go over some stuff with you. What'll you have?" "Tea," I said, because I felt nauseous. "Tea?" Ralph winked. "Did anyone ever tell you what a weird kid you are?" The lady behind the counter gave me a searching look. "I've been working on the first draft for the book," Ralph said, tucking his racing sheet into the back of his notebook. "Let me read this, just to make sure that it sounds okay to you." He began to read in a funny, fake little girl voice that nearly made me fall off my stool. "I don't know if I want to be a fiddler when I grow up. My name is Rosamond Cole. I'm 10 years old. I've been playing the violin for 2 years. He looked at me. "Is that okay?" I nodded. So far, every word of it was true. "I take 2 lessons a week. I study at the School of Music with Miss Theodore Radzinoff. I love to play." There it was, the first lie. This was my chance to say, "No, I do not love to play. I hate it. I'm bad at it. I only keep doing it because it's so important to Mom and Dad. I don't know what I'm playing most of the time." But I didn't say anything. Why? Because I'm a coward, a very little coward. Also because I love my poor mixed-up Uncle Ralph, who goes and loses all his money at the racetrack and gets hollered at by my mom and always wants to have a good time and bring nice presents that cost much too much money. I knew that he was counting on me in a big way. I couldn't disappoint him. After I finished my cup of tea, we both went to the School of Music. As usual, the dumbness coat came on me. But not as usual, T.R. greeted me with a hug. I could hardly believe it. She had on lipstick. She had on perfume. She had on a new pair of earrings, hearts. She seemed to have an electrical current running through her. She laughed and leaped and smiled and clapped her hands and hummed. She was knocking her brains out to give me the best lesson in the world. Uncle Ralph was hopping around as if the current turned him on, too. I was like the quiet ring of a 3-ring circus. When the lesson was over, T.R. said to U.R., "I'm arranging the recital for May the 20th. By then, she should be ready. It shouldn't be a disaster at any rate, for me or for her." "Who?" I said. "You," said Radzinoff in a strained, smiling through her teeth voice. "We'll play a solo at the spring recital." "It will give the book its necessary tension and climax," Uncle Ralph said. "I will follow you as you prepare for the big moment, your recital." Radzinoff said, "We will use the large room downstairs. It can hold about 100 people. It has a lovely little stage. Rosamond will play in the chamber music group, of course, and then she will perform her solo. She will have to work very hard, but I know she can do it. Just to be sure she does her best, I will give her a lesson every weekday afternoon until the concert."
Poor Rosy. It seems that everybody is determined to have this book. There's only one way she can stop it, and that's to stand up to all those grown-ups and say, "No." But can she? I think you'll like Give Us a Great Big Smile, Rosie Cole by Sheila Greenwald.